My name is Daniel Mugoya.
Nice meeting you.
I work with UBC.
Okay.
This is my second time interviewing you.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's good. Eh?
The last time you came to UBC. So, Mr. Egesa, in your field of investigations, this is the critical time when we need, or the public needs views from you, your side.
Okay.
Yesterday, there was a shooting which involved a police officer killing an Indian national.
Yeah.
Yes. So first of all, before we get to the mixed reactions, including the president's questions which he raised, what do you make of such a killing?
I can see a desperate officer, a desperate person. If he's not an officer, because that's a man. I think he was a constable. I didn't see him ranked.
Yeah.
He was a young man. When you see the footage, he's a young man. First, I'm just wondering about the situation that such a person can even come with a gun and he goes up to the manager. To me, I don't know how that was done, but I think, and it did not seem even to have entered by force. It's like it was routine, that I'm sure several of them have been coming with their guns and discuss. And now, in the situation that, why do they stop people from entering with guns in bars? Because at a certain stage, heated conversations may turn out to be incidents of murder or incidents of harm. Now, besides that, I see a man who cocks his gun and fires. You could see that he was not even in a kind of confused madness. He was not mad. He was he knew his target. He literally wanted him dead. And you can see, he comes in. It's like he only came in to say, you either accept that I'm not indebted to you or something, but whatever the argument could have been, or I kill you now. So he came with a gun, knowing he was very likely to use it. It was not like he got maybe in a frenzy of anger or maybe a fit of anger. He came with a gun with a possibility, a very, very big possibility of using it. Now, that spells two things to our forces. I think it's high time we knew that orders at one time or the other may not work. Discipline at one time or the other may not work. And then we should create in all police centers, even for army, there should be centers of counseling where if in case there is a situation where people can go and government, they talk to, government is a parent and these are our children. There should be centers of discussion. You look at such a boy, he looks at himself as if he's alone in the world. He does not even think that if I went and talked to my commander, a situation will be reached. He's so desperate to know that it is him in front and it is him on the back. So it's like he either has to react or is finished. Now, before, we used to confide in our commanders. You know that in case you have a problem, you discuss it with the commander, and he would give you the courage. He would give you he would soothe you and say, listen, I'm going to handle. And you definitely know something is being handled. What is happening today is possibly people are so isolated that every officer seems to be on his own. And meaning that we are yet to see more incidents, because when you read the brains, you can understand that we have some people within the forces, even in the world, those who don't have guns and have nowhere to show that they're angry. We can see suicides are increasing. We can see murders are increasing, because possibly people believe that if you have come across someone who has money, there's no way you can never raise a successful complaint against him. You have heard the saying in Uganda, "Omwavu tasinga musango." A poor person will never win any case in Uganda. Now, that's just the mind. I know there are many cases that have been won by poor people, but of course our centers of conflict resolutions should be now enhanced deeply, because many people are living with stress. Many people are living with the situations of saying, I've been disturbed, but I have nowhere to report. Many people now sometimes believe that if you'd rather take the law in your hands and then wait for the results, whether you're arrested or you kill yourself, other than being demeaned and disrespected and cheated. I don't know the best story of what could have happened, whether the boy was being cheated or maybe it was a situation of maybe other standards here and there, because I'm just wondering if we had to look at how he could have picked a loan from this bank, how much was he supposed to pay? What angered him to the extent that he felt that he was being unfairly treated? And maybe he thought that this man is obstinate, he's not hearing what I'm saying, I would rather go with him or I would rather take away his life.
When you talk about enhancement in the area of conflict resolution, you find that in the past 1 or 2 weeks, these have been 2 incidences resulting from security operatives. So should we say that it is a problem in the whole security line?
Now look at this situation. A policeman, an army man shot the minister. A policeman has shot an investor. We cannot wait up to when prisons also shoots another person and then local guards also shoot another, then other departments. No. We say, I think investigatively or through research, we should try to look at these cases, though isolated cases, but they are common in that people allowed to carry arms are taking away the lives of those they would have protected. Because like with the policeman, he was not literally protecting this guy, but a policeman has a duty to protect anybody in Uganda and property. Now he's the one taking away the life of that person who he would have protected. So under the circumstances, we come to realize and say, I think there is we should understand these cases in isolation and then try to correlate them and get a common answer. And then once I've got a common answer, then we shall chart out a common solution.
Still, what do you make of a situation that he, looking at the CCTV footage, he targeted the investor, and the people who are in place had room to leave the place?
Yeah, of course, like when he was definitely was in that fit of anger, let's say that, but at the same time, it could be a situation that maybe if you are to check, I don't know, but their conversation could not have started yesterday. It's very likely that he had a conversation maybe with the juniors, and then in the process the juniors say, but it's the boss who takes the decision. Then when he goes to the boss, maybe the engagements now make him to realize that this is the final position. So his anger is positioned around a particular person whom he believes is the decision maker and the last person on that matter. So that's why you could see, if you see the way these guys were fleeing, the girl who was in, he was not bothered to even target them. He possibly in his mind thought they literally are not party to his predicament. So he targeted that person he felt was the reason why he's suffering, or maybe he's angry or he's unhappy.
You describe that to be anger, but now if someone is mentally incapacitated, can such a situation?
Yeah, if it was a mentally disturbed person, you'd see the erratism, you'd see him, you'd see the savage way he would have used this weapon. But he was very particular. He fires at one person, he fires in the air, he fires at one person, he knows that I've knocked him out, but he's not even very sure if he took the bullets. He walks back, he comes back, he shoots him 3 times again to make sure he's literally dead. And you know, even in the corridors when he was away, people were running out and he was not confronting anybody. There is even one who lightly pushed him, who shoved him off and took off, and never took offense. He knew this man has a right to run for his life. He looked, you could see that he's justifying the fleeing and the behavior of all these people, but not the person he was angry with. And when you look at him, you could have seen that the man could, there was a discussion, and you could have seen that the Asian must have said that word, of which made him to believe that now he has no solution, he's locked up, and he cannot possibly argue other than use the weapon.
Now, just I want us to dwell into the questions which have been raised by the president. We are going to look at them very quickly. We see which one we rule out and which one we can dwell into. The president has a concern, and his number one question is, how did an off-duty policeman access a gun? Police, according to a statement by police, they say that they have said that he picked a gun which was brought back home by his housemate, the person he was staying with. So I don't know, is this satisfactory?
Of course, that one the president should know that there is a lot of laxity, more especially with our police forces. There's a lot there's so much relaxation, and we have always raised all these issues. Yes, that now goes around the situation of gun discipline. How did he access the gun? And are guns always piled in a corner like you are piling spears or rungus or sticks? That is now a question around the AMRA people. But of course, they may also target the supervision. How that reckless, of course, there's that kind of reckless depositing of firearms. This person is not using a gun which he signed for. He's using a gun which he has picked from a corner, and nobody even stops him. Now think of it, that also tells stories that even, we have some several mad people who are veterans, who have ever used guns, and some of them very, very highly trained. Now, meaning that if guns are kept from wherever he picked that gun, we can be invaded and the whole of CPS can be gunned down. It's a question of recklessness, and definitely that has to be followed. There are many cases. You remember when we raised the situation of the deaths on where? At Garden City, not Garden City, this place on Freedom City. Definitely the police officers there had to be queried. Who deployed there? Who did? But we don't care to discipline our police officers. That's why there is a recurrence of cases. You can't tell me that I wouldn't charge the officers who were manning that Freedom City for reckless allowing in children, for looking away and while doors are being locked, for not managing. Yet they are the people trained to manage what we call crowd control management. These work in Abitex, they're not trained. Why do you charge Abitex? Yet he called police, and police it is the police that manages. It's the police that manages any gathering. So in the same way, if that person was not on duty, it's the question, how are guns managed within the police, in the central police station? And I know that's why before there used to be a situation that CMI would get concerned with how policeman handles their guns. Even ISO would also get concerned, and then they would exchange reports and then tighten management. We have had cases of abuse of the AMRA, the police AMRAs. We have had several cases. How do they come about? That you find that sometimes at one time even guns were coming out and being hired out. Sometimes bullets were leaving. Now, if AMRAs are not managed, I think it may bring in a question of saying any AMRA around should be managed by a list of other forces, not only one single force.
Okay.
Yep.
Secondly, the president's concern is, did he walk away from his guard post without permission with a gun, or to commit a crime? This one also, the police is answered from the first one, where the police says he picked the gun from home and he walked to the crime scene.
Let me tell you, as we walk, you find policemen carrying guns like babies and talking on phone and on WhatsApp and doing so many things. In fact, I would say sometimes that in Kampala even we don't have thugs. Otherwise, some of them would be disarmed and possibly guns used against them and against the public, because they immediately can access a gun. Once he gets out of that room, nobody would know if he's real on duty or not, because by the time he was picking a redundant gun. He was picking a gun left on it or just in a corner without an attendant. Now, literally, you wouldn't. It becomes hard administratively for anybody to know that is not being deployed.
Something has gone off my mind, but I remember there was a period when police officers were not allowed to move individually with a gun when you're alone. I don't know, did you hear of such a scenario?
Yeah, I think it mainly happens at night for purpose of making sure the guns are safe. But during day, it is not very, very easy because someone may rush back to the police station, or he would have possibly escorted a suspect, or so a lone policeman. It is very possible that he can be during the day. Maybe at night you may have issues, but at one time he may leave his guard post because of a problem, and maybe he tries to access his station. It may not be so difficult, but this was a much more case of recklessness, that a gun was left. In fact, it was even nice to bring back the gun. He would have fled with it. Yes.
But why wouldn't he also take the gun back to home if, according to what police says, that the gun was picked from home, but police says he abandoned the gun at CPS?
Well, I would be surprised if the gun was either picked from home or wherever. Okay. But does that mean that he disarmed his friend? What explanation does the friend give? You know, a gun is an item on the body, like my phone.
The friend left the gun home, and according to police, he went to see his sick.
Have you leave a gun home? Kept by who? Is that unit being supervised? How have they been taught the importance of keeping a gun on your body? Do you leave a gun in a room? All these are questions. And that's why sometimes really it is very important that we study these cases and then criticize ourselves and perfect. Because if a gun was left in a room, meaning that he could open and access the gun, even any other person, even children of these days a boy of 12 years can cock and use a gun. Now you can see the dangers we are looking at in barracks, or it may be in locations where we keep our forces.
This also takes us to the number 3 question. How are the guns stored in the police? This is asked by President Museveni.
Yeah, of course we have armorers, but then, of course, do we counter the armorer men? Do we know what they do? Do you know what they do with the guns while everybody is away? Do we still possibly have a situation where some could possibly hire out guns? Do we have a situation where some others could possibly give away ammunition? All these are questions really. And who counters to know that really all the guns being brought back into the armory are being well used? Because the armory keeps several guns. The armory also keeps guns that have been recovered as exhibits. The armory keeps guns that are unusual, which are used as service guns. Yeah, so all that, these are questions I wonder, but of course the president has the power to interrogate all this, and there should be periodical inspections and periodical reports and periodical supervisions which cut across all the security operatives.
Okay, there's also the 4th question. The president is concerned. He asks, is there no security at the site where the victim was? In your preamble, you talked about this.
That would be my question also. How does someone deal with money, deal with several things, deal with so many lives, and there is no security just within? Yes.
But
because I would at least find a situation that someone confronts him, and even if the guard shot him down, we would understand.
Normally there are places where the guards, you find that their hands are tight, and some of these security people just come and use force to enter and access such places.
Yeah, they used to be in discipline by, even I remember a case where we had a minister in Mukono where I think his minister slapped a guard. Yeah, but those are very isolated cases. Okay. Those are very isolated cases.
The 5th one, why did that local security allow an armed person into the building who had no guard business there? Of course, similar to the number 4.
Yes.
There is the question of the mental state of this policeman. That one we dwelled in.
I wouldn't. I don't think he had any mental situation. He looked. You see the correlation of his whatever. He was fairly okay.
Then there is the last one. Did he have a history of mental, of course, instability? If he had, why didn't the police leadership noticed and acted appropriately? Now this takes us to the police statement today. Police says 6 years ago they had vowed never to arm this of police officer Wawire anymore. So what do you make of
when they vowed? Why did they keep him? How was he going to operate without a rifle when he's supposed to be enforcing the law and order? That is double standards. If you believe someone, what was the reason? What did he do? If he, the day once you have indiscipline on firearms, you should literally be out of the force. Because how will they be very careful that at one time, if there is an emergency, how will you be isolated? Think of a situation that you're in a station and you have been invaded, and there is that kind of rush for arms to defend. How will you say this one may not have the best head to be given a gun? Why wasn't he relieved of his duties? Yes. In fact, like I heard, I don't know how far true it is on concerning the officer who shot the minister. I heard that at one time he had deserted, and maybe even locked away, punished. Once a person deserts, for us we have a saying that once a hen sleeps on, climbs and sleeps on a tree, then turns out to be a gin fowl. It will never settle in the house. So once a person has deserted, it's a signal of saying I don't belong here. You can't force him back. If you force him back, then you're in trouble. So if they say they vowed never to arm him, why did they arm him? He would have been handled. He would have been. Maybe he has a problem with the fits of anger or something like that.
So is the police trying to throw the ball now to the public?
There's no way. The police is culpable. They're supposed to give a very clear explanation about the good details. Because what am I saying? Every case that happens, there should be good researchers to write books and books about that. Why only that police will say this is our case, it is a high profile or what? But if I sat into that, I would raise a book. Why this could happen and what should be done? Because if we do not profile our cases, then we may never have solutions. Because the day you say this man should not be armed and then you're arming him, then there is a problem.
How best should management of guns be improved in Uganda? We've seen security companies and many other people being armed and moving around the suburbs of Kampala and everywhere, all sorts of corridors in Uganda. But how best should management of guns be in Uganda?
Because before I answer that, we should know that the cases we are seeing in Uganda are not terribly alarming. If you have to look at statistics, go to New York, go to several other cities, gun violence is very, very high. But we cannot condone the few cases we have here just because they are few. Because otherwise, in the process, they'll keep on escalating and we shall reach a level that we cannot control. But what we are saying is that gun use, a gun is a tool, like a hoe, like a knife, like a panga. And it adds to security, but it's not a main reason. It is not the main tool of security. One of the biggest problems has been that there are many guns in the hands of even officers who are character questioned, they are questioned on their character, who are not really literally been, whose character and behavior has kind of depicted madness, depicted indiscipline, depicted intolerance, and this has to be handled. It's kind of a situation within.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear of how police tracks those people who are holding guns, like private arms and so on in Uganda, like how they are registered and so on?
Yes, I would say yes. To a certain extent, I know what is being done. But you see, for now, there is no private guard who has shot anybody. It is the army, it is the police. So meaning that I think possibly the public, the other than forces, more especially with police, because police is supposed to be a civil force. I think it's high time the issue of guns, the police involves many public people into discussing about the issue of guns. Because on their own, I think there is a problem. It's like they are not doing so well.
Then talk about the advancement in technology. How can it be of help?
Yeah, of course, what we have to do is to profile guns. All the guns have to be profiled. The army can profile their guns on their own. ISO profiles the guns on their own, even police. So that if there is a weapon possibly used, like on the case of the unfortunate case of Ichuli, it would be now a situation of saying we check into all our data stores to find out, was it an ISO gun, was it a police gun, was it an army gun? Then from there, now we can, once we eliminate, once we clear and say it comes from none of all the armories of the known forces, prisons and others, now we say that should be a new gun. How did this gun come to Uganda? Where else has it committed offenses? It becomes very easy for us to, once you get one case done, you may solve 10 cases. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your wisdom, and we hope to get you more time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.